Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our online lesson. Good to see you. Hope wherever you are, you're going well. If you're watching this due to some imposed lockdown or isolation, hope you're staying safe, hope you're doing well, hoping you're finding something to pass the time as well. If you're just watching this because you missed a lesson or because you're looking to get ahead while you're at home, that's fantastic. Really impressed to see your proactivity and glad we can reach you via the World Wide Web. Let's jump into this. Okay, so English Task 3. Let's have a look at this. So, social media and change is the name of this task. So, what we're hoping to do is create an assignment where you're able to take things that you're familiar with, social media, and play around with those things in terms of positive societal change. So, the question is, if you could change the world or society in one way, what would that be? And let that idea kind of play around the back of your head because it's going to be a feature of this task. So, climate change, the way we deal with minority groups or the poor, maybe something to do with health. We've got the virus happening at the moment. So, if you could change something about the world, what would that be? Feel free to dream big with that. We'll hone back into that a little bit later. Only thing to say in terms of some housekeeping gear is I'm going to put all of the lessons into this one video. And so there's actually quite a bit of content inside this one video. So there is no compulsion to go through and listen to this entire video. In fact, what I encourage you to do is after I deal with lesson 1, pause it, do lesson 1 in your booklet. Then once you've finished that, play it again some hours or days later, and then do a lesson 2 after you've done that. So you don't need to take too big a bites here, just do with small and manageable pieces. Okay, let's get into this. First thing you're going to see is just some introduction stuff here. You can read that if you want, however you don't need to. I'm going to skip straight to lesson 1. Okay, the intention with lesson 1 is to get you thinking about good social media posts and bad ones. So ones that are more likely to change your mind. For example, if you're scrolling through your Facebook feed or looking at Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, lots of the time we're going to see social media posts which are designed to change our mind. It might be an advertisement. It might be someone advocating for a social cause, maybe gender equality, maybe something to do with medical practices, maybe something to do with refugees, whatever. The point is that lots of these social media posts are hoping to change our mind. What these questions ask you to do is look at the social media post the teacher gave you. Now, if you were in class, I gave you a hard copy of that. If not, this is saved on the OneDrive files. So if you don't have access to this, go wherever you found your English tasks. You'll also find a document labeled social media and change. Okay, so make sure you find that. The question's asking you to look at the social media posts, write down which one you think was the most effective and which one you thought was the least effective in the space below down here. Okay, and here is that document. So there are 12 social media posts here, and I want you to look through these. Now, if you don't have access to this, if you couldn't find it, no worries, because I'm going to scroll through all of them now. So what you need to do is read through all of these, and you might need to pause it if you don't have time to read it while I'm going through it. Read through all of these and ask the question, out of these 12 social media posts, which ones do you think are effective? And which ones do you think are least effective? So which ones are actually kind of changing your mind, having an impact on you, getting you to consider supporting their cause? And which ones are you kind of like, nope, that's having no impact on me whatsoever? So as you read through them, consider that. And then what this question is asking you to do is to say, write which one you thought was the most effective. So for example, it might be number 6. I have no idea which one number 6 is. But let's just say number 6. And then I want you to tell me the reasons for that. Now, as this little speech bubble says, the why is the most important part. So if you're saying number 6 was the most effective, tell me why. The why is the crucial bit. And to help you answer that question, think about how it made you feel, the points it made, and perhaps any evidence it used to try and convince you. And then do the same but opposite for question 1.2, the least effective post. So for example, you might say for number 1.1, I think number 6 was the most effective post because it got my attention, it made good points, and it made me feel sorry for their cause. Cool. Do that for question 1.1 and 1.2. Number 1.3. Now this booklet was written with the intention of us doing it in class. So here it says, discuss with the class what features contribute to a good social media post and write your ideas. Obviously, if you're doing this online, you can't talk to each other all that easily. So what I suggest you do is have a bit of a general think, okay? What are the characteristics of a good social media post? For example, interesting, understandable, etc. I would encourage you to please write about 5 ideas for what makes a good social media post there. Now the reason for this is twofold. One, to get your brain thinking critically about social media posts. And 2, to help you create your own social media posts in a few lessons time. So we can come back to this list and think, okay, if I'm going to create my own social media posts, what were some of the characteristics I need for that? Okay, that's lesson 1. Moving on, lesson 2. In this lesson, we will look into causes you would like to support and begin researching. Think of causes you're actually passionate about because you'll be doing some research and work with them later. Now, we all know sometimes in school you just do stuff because the teacher tells you to do it and so you can get the assignment done. Fair enough, we will have to do that from time to time. However, what this assignment is hoping, and you can consider me idealistic and quixotic if you like, but what this lesson is hoping is that you take a cause that you actually care about. Not just something you're pretending to care about, not just something that thinks going to be easy, but take a cause that you think, yeah, this means something to me. This is something I'd actually like to see some real world change in. Question 2.1, write those causes down here. So write down, it suggests 3 to 7 causes you're passionate about. Put them down there. Global warming, poverty, access to health, sporting opportunities, whatever. Whatever you're passionate about, chuck them down there. And again, please, please, please make them things you're actually passionate about. Cool. Think around those ideas for a little bit. Number 2.2 asks you to choose one. Choose the one you're most excited about, one you love the most, one that you think would change the world dramatically, and write it down here. All right. So write your cause in that space there. So this is the cause, whatever you write here is the cause you're going to work with for the remainder of this project. So think, and again, you're welcome to pause this video anytime and consider and stop and write, etc. Write that cause there. Question number 2.3. Now we're going to begin researching. The information you record here will be used in your final assessment task. Either from your research or from your general knowledge, write down the basic facts of your issue or cause. Include details like what is happening, where, how, why, etc. So, for example, if I was doing global warming, let's just tidy this up a little bit. Cool, I'm doing global warming. Write down the details, so write down the basic facts of my issue, including things like what is happening, where, how, why, etc. I'm just going to highlight those to keep them fresh in our mind. And obviously, this is a great strategy for you in your projects as well. Underline, highlight, etc. Particularly when answering questions like this one that have got a few parts to it. Now, I'm not sure what you're like, but I would struggle to keep all of those ideas in my head, and it'll take me time to go through and read the whole thing. But by highlighting it, I can quickly just look at the main ideas there. Okay, write down the basic facts of my issue. Cool. Like what is happening, where, how, why, etc. That's a easily digestible amount of information for me. Okay, so I'm doing global warming. What's happening? The globe is getting hotter. Okay, cool. Why do we care about that? This is making, and actually I'm going to model something here. I prefer writing in dot points. Now forgive the format here. My page is going to get messy but that's okay. I'm just going to delete some of this and it's my document, so I can do what I want. I'm going to chuck in dot points here. I suggest you write in dot points also because it's a much more efficient means of writing. Okay, the globe is getting hotter. Okay, I'm going to hit enter, gives me a new line, but I want to have an indented dot point. To do that, I hit tab, and then I have a little dot point that sneaks in there underneath. Okay, why do we care about this? This is killing many animals, probably making more bushfires, and I could go on for minutes there, but I won't. So that's what's happening. Okay, now I hit enter there. I'm going to hit enter again, and it takes me back to my main level of dot point. So you can see I've got the main dot point level, and then I've got we can call that a sub level or something. Okay, where? Well, it's the world, so that's pretty self-explanatory. How? That's a good question. Okay, we are releasing too much, what do we call this? Greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gas, brackets, cars, construction, electricity, and cow farts. Well, it's actually burps. Cow burps, etc. Cool. This creates a thicker atmosphere. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but that's how I understand it. Atmosphere which locks in more heat. Yada, yada, yada. Cool. Okay. How, why, cool. I'm going to stop there because what I'm doing is just giving you an example of the sorts of things, the sorts of style of note-taking I want you to do here. So, that took me maybe 1 or 2 minutes. I want you to spend maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes going through answering all those questions, giving us a basic overview of those issues. Now, if you don't know your issue that well, this is where you hit pause and you do some research for 20, 30, 40 minutes or something. Understand your topic well, because that will give you more ammunition to do a better job with the later parts. Okay, again, I encourage you to pause this video as often as you need, do work, and come back to it. 2.4, next step is to consider why this is an important issue. A helpful way to think about this question is to consider what bad stuff will happen if we ignore it, and how will life be better if we change it. Write down as many points as you can about why this is an important cause. Now, this is a bit of a more complex question. If I was putting on my teacher hat, I would refer to this as a higher order thinking question. So, the question above this, 2.3, was just telling me what's happening, how is that happening, where is that happening. This question is saying, why should I care? Why should I care about this issue over, say, the 300 other issues that are going on in our world? So, these two questions here, and again, I'm going to highlight them, is what bad stuff will happen if we ignore it, and how will life be better if we change it? That's a really good way of thinking about why an issue is important. Because if it's important, bad stuff will happen if we ignore it, or good stuff will happen if we change it. So, again, I'll just give you a couple examples here. If we fix global warming, why do we care about this? What bad stuff will happen if we ignore it? Well, that's easy. Bushfires. People will lose homes. For example, E.G. That stands for a Latin phrase, exemplia gratia, which translates to for example. For example, the Maldives. The Maldives has an average, the average height of the Maldives is something like 50 centimeters above sea level. So they are freaking out about sea levels rising. Maldives. Cool. Okay, people lose homes. Storms and stuff will be more damaging. For example, if we have big waves down at Glenelg or Brighton or something and the waves come in, at the moment we've got like 1 or 2 meters clear of for the boardwalks and stuff. If the sea levels keep rising, which they are, approximately 32 centimeters every 25 years or something, I forget. If they keep rising, then obviously our boardwalks and all those big fancy homes that the rich people live in will get washed away. So cool. Bushfires, some people lose homes. Animals, will go extinct. I read something interesting recently about the wine producing regions. You know, if the whole world gets hotter, where we produce our wine will change. Wine growers might be impacted. Crops will struggle. And again, crops will struggle. Okay, why do I care about that? People will be hungry. Many may die. What we forget living in a brilliant country like Australia is that there are still sadly millions and millions and millions of people who, if they have a bad year, if the weather doesn't go well for them, they don't have enough food to eat, and literally many hundreds and thousands of them starve to death, which is incredibly tragic. Here in Australia, if we have a bad year, we pay slightly more for our food, and we can all deal with that. Like, we can, yeah, it's inconvenient for sure, but no one's going to die of starvation. Some places in the world, tragically, that's still happening. Okay, 2.4. Why do we care about it? Why do we care about our issue? So whatever issue you're doing, you answer these questions. What bad stuff will happen if we ignore it? How will life be better if we change it? You answer those questions for your own topic. Okay, so if you're doing gender equality, what bad stuff will happen if we ignore the movement of gender equality? If you're doing more opportunities for refugees, how will life be better if we change that? Answer them yourself. Probably aim for between 8 and 20 here, I think. I want you to get pretty deep into that. Again, pause this anytime. Number 2.5, final question for this lesson. Why does this issue need help? As in, why is it not fixing itself? Okay. Again, more of a complex question. So, lots of problems kind of fix themselves. If you bruise your shin playing football, your shin will magically heal itself. Anyway, so lots of things fix themselves in the world. However, some things don't. Why isn't your particular issue fixing itself? Again, I'll give you a couple examples for global warming. Okay, why isn't it fixing itself? Because many people would have to make sacrifices to fix it. That would include, again, subdot point, financial. You think the maker of Holden, or do you think Saudi Arabia or Russia with their massive oil exports is going to say, yeah, cool, no worries, we'll stop producing billions and billions worth of material just to help make the world a better place? Not quite. Financial. Also, let's talk about social as well. I'm going to go for a holiday to Europe sometime soon. Okay, I'm going to go on a plane, I'm going to eat fancy food. All of those things are luxuries that I do not need to do. So my going to Europe and enjoying myself is contributing in a small way to global warming. Okay, should I sacrifice that? I don't know. I'm probably not going to. Feel free to judge me. But many of us don't make sacrifices, myself included, that would have a positive impact on global warming, and that is one of the contributors. Okay, financial, social. Also, global warming is freaking complex. We humans have never been in this situation before. Yep, we kind of know what we need to do to fix it, but we don't always know how to implement those changes. For example, if my dad works in a mine and they dig coal, and we say we're going to ban all coal exploration and mining and exporting, and that's good for the environment, yes, but then you put my dad out of a job, and now my dad has to get money from the government, or he has to find a new job, and that's really difficult. And then times that by 10,000 people at a mine, that's a cost. How do you manage that? I don't know. That's complex. Cool. Okay, so here, this is where you answer why your problem isn't fixing itself. So, again, if it's equality, if it's refugees, why isn't that problem fixing itself? Really get into the nitty gritty of what's going on with your topic. Again, this is why research is so important. All right, this ends lesson 2. So, what you should do is pause it here. Make sure you finish all these questions. Again, go back, reread, pause, work, research, Google, etc. And this video will still be here for you in hours or days' time. Good luck. Welcome to lesson 3. Lesson 3. In this session, we're going to start thinking about how you can create a social media post that will create effective change for your cause. Now's a good time to get your hopes up and put your optimistic hat on. What are you hoping to achieve through your post? Be bold, but also be specific. Typo there. Awkward. Be bold, but also be specific. For example, okay, so we're considering what you want to change. How do you want to change the world? What are you specifically focusing on? So, don't write things like, I want to make the world a better place. That's too vague. Write, I want to get people to recycle their plastics more. That's more specific. We can work with that. Don't write improve gender equality. Again, too broad. Write to encourage more females to go to school. Or allow more females to go to school, might be better. So, keep it specific. Write down what you're hoping to achieve, down here, question 3.1. Write down what you're hoping to achieve. You can have between 1 and 5 ideas. Don't go more than that, it'll get too big. So, write down what you're trying to achieve. So if I was doing global warming, I might write, and again I'm just going to move my formatting, I might write something like, I want to encourage people to eat less meat. Meat production is a large cause of global warming, just the amount of resources it takes, etc. Cool, might want to encourage people to eat less meat. Now that's good because it's specific. Another goal could be to encourage people to use Teslas. I could to encourage people to ride bikes more. Whatever. So, 1 in 5 ideas, specifically what you would like people to do. So you've got your issue, global warming or whatever. You've understood how it's happening and why it's not fixing itself. Now what you're going to do is to think, okay, how can I address that? If that's what's going on, what are some practical steps we could implement that might actually fix or at least lessen the impacts of these things? Between 1 and 5 ideas, and good luck. Alright, question 3.2. Now we're going to consider, and again, pause it, watch it, restart it anytime. 3.2. Now we're going to consider who your target audience is. That is, who are you aiming to persuade? Thinking this through gives you a better chance of convincing your audience. Considering who you're trying to persuade is very important. For example, if I was to go to a vegan rally and try and convince them to eat more steak, or you know those ads like put some more pork on your fork or something. If I was trying to roll that ad out at a vegan rally or at, I don't know, a Greens political convention, I would probably get booed off the stage and have organically grown tomatoes thrown at me because I didn't pick my target audience right. So, also consider how different you are to your grandparents. If I was trying to convince your grandparents to buy something, I would use very different language to how I would talk to you. I wouldn't talk to your grandparents about, this is the biggest thing since Justin Bieber's new hairstyle or something. Sorry, I know that's terribly cringe. With your parents, with your grandparents, sorry, I'd use very different language. I would say stuff like, this solid, reliable invention ensures quality of life and peace of mind. You're attracted to different things to your grandparents, so we need to reflect that in the YouTube videos we create or the social media posts we create. Okay, fill out the space below in the table to consider how you can capture your target audience. The first one has been done as an example, and again I'm just going to tweak the format here because it's changing a bit. So, I want you to consider who you want to convince. So, if you're trying to convince someone, again, I'll start with my global warming idea. Who are you trying to convince of that? Okay, well, I'm thinking the future belongs to young people. So, I'm going to say I'm going to try and convince people who are under 30. Cool, okay, that's good. Now I can kind of aim at people under 30. So, think about maybe some older brothers and sisters. Think about some of your teachers. I'm 28, so think about what might convince me. And we're going to put in their likes and dislikes there. Okay, so what do people under 30 like? We like technology. We like Wi-Fi, not quite as much as you, but almost. We like holidays. We love traveling. We love taking photos of things. E.g., holidays and dinner plates or dinner. Cool. We like restaurants. We like, I think we like honesty. I think we're kind of a bit more, oh, that's probably a bit unfair. Cool. Okay, that's what we like. Now, the reason this is cool is when you create an ad, you can put these things in there. So if you, I shouldn't say an ad, I mean a social media post. You create a social media post and you fill it with a young couple on holiday taking Instagram photos of their roast turkey. That is going to appeal to me because I'm like, oh yeah, those people get me. They're just like me. As opposed to if you had an 87-year-old playing their weekly game of backgammon or bingo, I'm going to be like, that ain't me. Those people don't know me at all. I'm going to stop listening to you now. An obvious example, but hopefully you can see the point. Okay, dislikes. What do people my age hate? What do we dislike? We're kind of resentful that older people got cheap housing. Older people with cheap houses. Because we've rocked up and we're like, yeah, let's buy a house. And then all of a sudden, houses are quite expensive, particularly in Sydney and Melbourne. In Adelaide, we're a bit luckier. Okay, we dislike older people with cheap houses. Oh, no, that's personal. I should say that houses are so expensive. Let's not give old people a hard time. The houses are so expensive. We also dislike. What do we dislike? That's all I've got. That everyone's forgotten about this, but we'll put it in there. That Harambe got shot. Cool. We also dislike that. All right. Cool. Now, the reason this is cool is because these are going to be, once again, ammunition, ideas for when you create your own social media posts. Because if you're trying to convince me and you put these things in there or references to them, I'm going to be listening. Think about how often you actually listen to your teachers. Chances are when you're actually really listening, it's because you're interested. So the first rule of changing people's minds, the first rule of persuasion is to get them interested. Use these things to interest your audience. If you're doing people your age, again, consider what you like and what you dislike and put that in there. Because if you use that in your social media post, it's going to be so much more effective. Okay, remember, pause this anytime. So I suggest you pause it, write your likes and dislikes in, and come back to the video whenever you're ready. Number 3.3. This is where we get serious and creative. Consider how you could encourage people to make the change mentioned in 3.1. Okay, let's go back to 3.1. What was that? Okay, encourage people to eat less meat, etc. Okay, so consider how you could encourage people to make the change mentioned in 3.1. How could we get them to eat less meat, for example? Use the ideas we discussed in lesson 1. Okay, lesson 1. What was that? Oh, okay, that was what made an effective social media post. So, and I'll just write a couple ideas here now. We said things like make it interesting, make it meaningful, etc. Okay, so using these ideas, interesting, meaningful, etc. How could I make one of these changes? I'm going to choose encourage people to eat less meat, just because that's an easy one. Okay. Use the ideas we discussed in lesson 1 and think, could you tell an emotional story to draw them in? Show an emotive photo to gain their sympathy. Use bold or eye-catching color. Now, these aren't the things you have to do, these are things you could do. Show the facts of an issue. Fill them with hope. Show how the world could be better if they made a change. Show the unfairness of the current situation. In the following table, write what you hope to achieve and how you could do it. The first two have been completed for you as an example. Keep in mind who your target audience is and use ideas that would appeal to them. That would appeal to them. Remember, you need to create 4 to 6 social media posts. So your final task is going to ask you to create 4 to 6 social media posts. So, choose one of your changes, and because you're doing 4 to 6 social media posts, you could choose more than this if you wanted. You're going to try and encourage people to make that change by involving their likes and dislikes, making it interesting, making it meaningful, and these are some strategies you could use to do that. So, in the following table, write what you hope to achieve and how you could do it. The first two have been completed for an example. Let's have a look. Okay, so if I wanted to show how much, sorry, my apologies, I've already filled these in with skin cancer examples, my apologies. So let's just say I wanted to convince people to be more sun smart. I'm going to convince people to be more sun smart. What do I want to achieve? I want to show how much suffering is currently caused by skin cancer. How am I going to do this? Have a side-by-side photo of a young man having fun with his friends next to a photo of him in hospital looking frail and sad. Okay, so that could kind of create some emotion in my audience. If I wanted to show how good life could be if we all maintained a healthy diet, I could show a range of new government developments, sports arenas, schools, skate parks, etc., that we could build from the money we would save if we didn't have to treat preventable illnesses. Up to 45 billion from smoking, obesity, etc. So I could kind of capture people's hope. I could say, hey, if we all lived healthy and didn't smoke and weren't obese, etc., we would have $45 billion extra as a nation, and we could build 17 MCGs, 3 aquariums, and 1 public toilet. Cool. That could fill people with hope. That might get them excited, might get them interested. So what I want you to do is think about what you want to achieve and write how you're going to do it. Okay, so if you want to show how much better life could be if we're all healthy, show us that. Show us that by showing how much money we could save, or show us that by showing how healthy and energetic and excited and happy we could be. Now, there's no direction of how many you have to write, but remember, you need to create at least 4, a maximum 6 social media posts. So, work out what you want to achieve, and you could have 4 ideas, 4 posts for one idea. So for example, if I wanted to show how good life could be with healthy diets, I could have 4 different ways of showing that, and that's completely fine. Or I could have 4 or 5 different things I want to achieve and a new idea, a new way of achieving that for each of them. And as you've probably guessed, all of these ways of achieving these things are going to eventually be your social media posts. So, show a new range of government developments, yada, 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 that would be one of my social media posts. Okay. There's a lot of information there. If that didn't quite make sense, watch it again, read through the examples, and also email me. In case you don't have my email, it is sam.grieger@youthplus.edu.au. Flick me an email, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about this. Cool. Okay, let's go down to the next bit, and remember, pause, do that work, then come down to it. Lesson 4 and beyond. Now you're ready to complete your social media posts. There is an assessment task sheet below giving you all the details you need. Remember to check in with the teacher for help if you need. Youth workers will also be really helpful, but try a teacher first as youth workers are often crazy busy with other things. Good luck. Let's go through the assessment task now. Okay. I'm going to start with a task explanation. You can read the purpose if you like though. Your task is in two parts. The two parts are social media posts and an introduction and reflection. Choose a cause that you are passionate about and create 4 to 6 social media posts advocating for change in this area. So when I say task, with your assessment task, this is what you actually hand up. All the stuff we just talked through, that stuff is research and preparation for this task. So now you've considered all of that, you're ready to go with the final assessment task. Okay, choose a cause you're passionate about and create 4 to 6 social media posts advocating for change. You can create posts from any social media platform. For example, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, others. I suggest you choose the ones you're most familiar with. Also, you can do YouTube if you have some video editing skill. Now, if you choose that one, a video is probably more complex than the average text-based social media post. So if you're doing that, definitely do it, but send me an email just saying, hey Sam, I'm thinking of doing this one. The reason for that is you probably don't need to do 4. You could get away with doing 2, probably get away with doing 1, 2, or 3, depending on the length and complexity of your video. So if you're doing that, if you're doing a video, awesome, love to see it. Let me know, and you only need to do 1, 2, or 3 of those because they're more complex than a text-based one. Others, because there's so many social media platforms out there, for example, TikTok, I don't know much about that at all, but I'm sure you're all over it. If this task would fit that, please do that if you want to. Okay, ensure your posts appeal to the target audience you're aiming at. Okay, look at that lesson. Think about who you're trying to convince and create posts that will get their interest. Your post should be the equivalent amount of work and content as 400 written words. You should consider having pictures in your posts. These can be copy and pasted. However, the writing must be your own words. Okay, cool. Now, a question is, will you need to actually post these on social media? No, you do not. So, if you want to, you can actually create a post and actually post that on Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat or whatever. However, what would also be easy is doing this on a Microsoft Word document or a PowerPoint document. PowerPoint's often really easy for this sort of thing. The formatting just seems to work. So PowerPoint's a good way to go. Canva, if you've used that before, is a really cool program online for free. So use Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Canva, or if you want, do use an actual social media post, actually post it, screenshot it or save it, copy and paste it, whatever, print it out and hand it up as well. Okay, that's the first part. Part 1 is that. Then what you also need to do is create an introduction and reflection. Now all of this should be pretty easy because again, it's linked to the questions you asked in the above document. Okay, introduction and reflection. So in addition to your social media posts, you need to write some stuff as well. You need to write this up as a separate document and hand it up with your posts. You need to write an introduction to the topic, why it's important, why it needs help, what outcome you're hoping for, who is your target audience, and how did you appeal to them? 70 words. Now all of those have got an approximate word count there. As our text box tells us, the word counts are just a guide to give you a rough idea. Don't worry if you're 10 to 20 words over or under. 50 words under, however, is a bad idea. Okay, so don't worry about getting exactly on the money with those. It's just a rough word count to suggest, really to make your life easier, just to show you how much work I think would be required to do a good job there. So if you're at 65 words for each of them, don't freak out at all. But if you're at 200 words for one of them, you've probably done too much, making your life more difficult. Okay. Lastly, you should hand out both parts of your assignment together as a hard copy. If you produce a video, discuss with the teacher how you can hand that up. That's it. I'm just going to recap that final task one more time just to make it really simple. So, you need to do 2 things. 1, create your social media posts. 4 to 6 social media posts. Also, you need to write an introduction and reflection answering those questions. Now, those questions are exactly the questions that you answered way up here. Okay, so go back and look at your notes for that bit there, because you've already done all the hard work and it's just putting it into formal words. Just on that, do write formally. So that means don't write, this is prob's pretty good because I reckon it's totes sick, eh? Okay, cool. Gangster, I like it, I like it. However, it's not the sort of English we really get excited by in formal tasks. So, in your reflection, write formally. In your social media posts, you can write however you think will be effective. So, if you think you're going to convince more people by writing in everyday language on Facebook for your post, completely fine, go for it, and you will not lose marks for that. In your introduction and reflection, I'm not going to kill you for spelling mistakes. If you spell something wrong or your grammar's a little bit funny, I'm not going to slam you with your grades, but just try and write as formally as you can. And I'm very happy to help drafting and proofreading there as well. Again, my email address, sam.grieger, Grieger spelled Grieger, sam.grieger@youthplus.edu.au. I think that's a good place to leave it. Down here you've got the rubric, which you don't need to pay attention to, but if you want to know, this is the formal SACE document that I mark you against. Okay, hey, thank you for watching. I appreciate your effort and your endeavour to actually get this done at home or in class without one-on-one teacher direction. Again, if you're at home due to the coronavirus, I really do hope everything's going okay. I hope you're finding stuff to do. I hope you and your family and your friends are safe and healthy. I hope you're looking after each other. I look forward to seeing you in person again. All right, good luck, team. Thank you very much. I'll see you around. Catch ya.